Three, two, one. Let's go, folks. You thought we were gone, but we came back. We had to come back, and we had to give everybody a recap, especially if you follow and as a fan of the show. I'm sure you want to see what happened in the listener league. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to, tie it up in a nice bow. Again, congratulations to LT on winning the mini draft, a fun part that we have on our show. He wrapped it up early, like Denver did with their division, just wrapped up the division early. So he didn't have to worry about the last few weeks. But hey, I guess you can see why I'm in a good mood. If you can see the screen, it was a great playoff for the first place. As you can see, the number one or the number two seed in this league did not make the finals. They got the buys, but I'm not going to say Bet on Brunridge was upset by myself. I did have more points than him in the year, but it looks like even though I wasn't the one or the two seed, I did have what I thought was the easier path. As you can see, I did not want to play United We Stand or Fly Zone ZM in the second round. Both of them scored over 150 points. So I was glad to have that 3 seed and I got Bet on Brunridge, who had really fallen on hard times later on in the year. His quarterback injury really come back to bite him later on in the year. But hey, LT, I just want to give you a backdrop. I don't know if you heard this. I was talking to Robert the very first week, and I might pick on 411 a little bit. The very first week, me and 411 was talking right before his playoff matchup against Fly Zone Liam. He said, calculator. He said, should I start Shedeur Sanders or should I start Jackson Dart? And I said, no pauses, right away. I said, Jackson Dart. And let's look up what happened in that matchup. And he started Shedeur Sanders, LT, and he got 3.98. So let's see what Jackson Dart did, folks. He got, 24 points. So, folks, it just goes to show you, even the best of us, yes, Shedeur Sanders had the better matchup. Jackson Dart was, Washington. Well, I mean, Washington still, but I see where 411 was going with it. He thought, and with good reason, that Shedeur Sanders was a good floor play. He just think it was going to be 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. Especially after he come off such a great game with Tennessee. He thought maybe he was figuring it out and stuff. My analysis, though, when I did talk to 411, is the reason I liked Jackson Dart was I liked his rushing ability in that particular setting. I knew he would have had at least 50 yards. I also knew Washington was, top, bottom 4 in passing efficiency against quarterbacks. But I understand 411 took the safe route. Very rarely do I think it will come back to bite him. Any regrets, Mr. 411? Besides losing, but do you still feel safe with the logic you were using in your matchup?
Well, I'll say this. Admittedly, it was a bad decision. Mr. 401 has been following the advice of the calculator ever since we started this programming. So it's been over years. So, ladies and gentlemen, take it from Mr. 401 himself. Take heed to the information that's on the show. Take heed to the information from the calculator. Take heed to information from LT. I'm telling you this from experience. Okay? Listen to this show. It will not
Yes.
steer you wrong. And
We
I went and fell on the sword for everyone else. All right. So I did that for everyone else to move forward. Okay. John Cena, he tapped out for all the
oh,
future WWE superstars to move forward. Okay. I'm doing the same thing here as it pertains to fantasy football. Now, to answer your question, calculator, I have regrets on it. Okay. And admittedly, I do. But I also say this. I figured with my roster the difference between what Dart does and what Shadur does, I thought my roster would at least make up whatever that difference is.
Yes.
And I thought that the Bears, and if you watch the Bears against the 49ers the other
Yeah.
night, I figured not that you're gonna have a Brock Purdy type game, but at the very least against that Bears pass defense, give me one touchdown, give me 60 rushing, 50 rushing
Yeah.
yards, just something decent. And that's all I would be okay with that. So that's where it went wrong, is that Shador went totally south in that game and not just have even an average game versus that Bears defense. So, I figured I could weather that storm if it happened. And it did. And it didn't even go that way. It went really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, and I feel for you 411 because as you can see, if you look in the next week, uh, 411 took his frustrations off out on a flight squad and just put up the highest point total of the week for that week. So thankfully, or I should say thankfully, Fly Zone Liam, or I should say United We Stand. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered. He was losing to whoever he would have played in the next round. But it was one of those things that, hey, it happens to us all. We make a logical decision. We can only, and I've made them. I made those decisions before. Hey, I haven't. I'm in enough leagues to know. And there was one at my own home league. I lost by literally 1.5 points because I started the defense ahead of the Pittsburgh defense. Dallas was going to party. So I read the tea leaves a certain way, and it didn't happen. So it happens to the best of us. But I want to thank Mr. 41 LT for a great year. I always enjoy this league because we've been doing this league, and LT actually this league started before we even knew LT. LT kind of fell into the league when we were doing baseball at where we were. So and then we but hey, great league, Mr. 41. You're a great commissioner. You held things together. Anytime there's wrong, that's why I say, people, if you want a good league to get in, this is one, because it's competitive, it's low cost, but the auction type is another format that, and I'll tell you, Mr. 41, I already got two people trying to get into this league, so we'll see. We'll touch base as next year progresses to see if they can make the league, because we had a good group of people this year that I definitely wouldn't mind inviting back, just because it was a competitive league, and I always enjoy it, and I was glad we moved forward with you moving the playoffs back a week to coincide with a lot of other weeks, so that wasn't off. And I wouldn't be remiss without saying there was a consolation bracket, and the reason is there was a rivalry that happened in the consolation. So I'm going to bring it up. That's right, LT. He said he threw his match in the semifinals because he wanted to play Carter's Peanuts one last time at the end of the year, and he did. And LT goes out on a win against his arch rival, Carter's Peanuts. And LT was saying he's going to do it with. He said, Brock Bowers. He said, I don't need Brock Bowers to beat Carter Peanuts. So he left Brock Bowers in his lineup, even though he was in an IR spot, and he still won. It was one of those and Carter's Peanuts just types it up to one of those years. And LT, congratulations on ending on a winning note. I'm sure that I'm sure Carter's Peanuts will remember this one because he's a listener to the show, and we appreciate him listening to the show. But congratulations on you ending on a any words as we finish up the recap of our league, LT.
The copier bowl will live on forever.
Yeah. Yeah, and LT said, "I'm not hiding." He said, "I'm coming out, win or lose." He was coming out to say, and he said to end against an arch rival. Sometimes that makes all the difference. What about you, Ms. 41? Any words as we're departing from the listener league for another year, putting another one in the books?
Well, another great year, as you said,
Oh,
competitive, and all the uh, all the fantasy league owners here, and were competitive owners. They tried their best to win throughout the season. Some of the owners, they did not, let their unfortunate losses or losing streaks or things like that affect their participation.
Yep.
And that's always great because, we had some upsets along the way that kind of help shape things for the playoffs. And that's one thing that we want, right? We don't want a team that's just dead weight out there.
Yep.
And it's a homecoming game for the owner. We want, like, hey, at any given week you could lose, and so
Yep.
we have those owners this year. And yes, uh, we do have more owners that want to join in. So hey, submit your applications,
Yep.
to the calculator, and then make sure it gets to Mr. 401, and then
Absolutely.
and then our off-season owners meetings, we'll look into
That's
it.
right. Yeah, and people should be fortunate. And all you got to do is submit an application. You don't have to fill out the contracts that we used to have. You don't have to take the tests, the entry tests we used to give to get into the league. So yeah, people should feel fortunate. It's a lot easier to get into our league than it used to be.
Oh, that's right. You did have to take a quiz. Remember
The
that? So
quiz,
yeah.
I remember that. So hey, good memories. But yeah, like I said, I already got two people raring to get in this league, and especially when they heard it was an auction format, the two people that want to get in this league, they kind of want to. They already have a league, but it's a regular snake draft. They want to get into. Of course, it's probably me bragging on it, an auction league, because folks, if you had never been in an auction league, you really don't do it justice until you get in it. Yes, it's long, but you know what? You don't have to be on there the whole 3 hours. You can do like Mr. 401, spend all your money on the first 3 players and then go and take a power nap, and by the
Yeah.
time you wake up from a nap, you'll be back on the clock, able to bid.
Yeah.
So, you can make it with me. I am into an auction league. I'll tell you this from beginning to end. Just because I love it. I love the action. Sometimes I love to press the button, just to press the button. And hey, that sometimes it hurts because I wasn't going to be a Jamar Chase owner. I was trying to drive up the price and I got caught, with Jamar Chase, but hey, Jamar Chase helped me out. He had 2
Yeah.
touchdowns in the championship week. So at the time I regretted it. But now, and one more thing I do want to bring up. And this goes to LT, and I have the receipts. I offered you on 4 separate occasions, Ramondre Stevenson and Dak Prescott for Josh Allen, and you turned it down all 4 times. And I want to thank you for turning it down because Ramondre Stevenson had a huge championship week in the championship to kind of make me thank you for turning down that. Do you want to now in hindsight, would you do it again? Would you turn it down again, seeing what happened? Or would you, are you satisfied with that decision?
I'm good with that decision, but Ramondre has always been one of my favorite players.
That's why I tried to target that.
But he wasn't, he didn't put up 29 points every week.
No, he didn't. So.
But he did come through for you right there at the end.
Yeah. After the trade deadline, when I started really looking ahead, because I was struggling at the time. Dak was struggling, Ramondre was struggling. However, I saw you needed running back depth at the time, and I just wanted an upgrade at quarterback because I was just losing close games where I could get that. And Ramondre was on my bench because I was set with Javonte Williams at running back, and I didn't need Ramondre, so that's why. And I knew, and that's why I was trying to tell people my thought process in that trade with you is give you a 2-for-1. You would still have a mid-level quarterback and a player that you would like. Now it didn't work, but I couldn't offer you any more than that. So it didn't work. I mean, it didn't work out for me getting the trade, but it worked out for me. And sometimes people, here's a little more, the moral of the story. Sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. Sometimes you ride it out and just see what happens. And this one, LT saved me from myself in trying to get Josh Allen on my team.
Oh,
and
yeah. And by the way,
you'd have probably done it. You'd have probably got the trade if you'd have had anybody but Dak Prescott.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. So you're saying, LT, I should have gone and picked up a waiver wire quarterback?
Absolutely.
Okay, folks, there you have it. That LT showing you what I have to do to try and get if he gets Josh Allen. Although Josh Allen might have to be on my team next year because I get tired. Well, I don't mind streaming quarterbacks because that does make it fun. But when you have multiple leagues, you can it can be tedious sometimes to try and stream quarterback in every league. That's why at least one or two leagues I just like to get my quarterback to set it and forget it.
Yeah. Hey, and congratulations, LT, for dominating the
Mini draft.
uh, the mini draft, and then congratulations, Calculator, for winning the season.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you guys as well, and also congratulations, Calculator, for having the high points too. You won the high points for 2025 season too. So congrats there. Congrats to Liam for finishing in second. And once again, oh, congratulations to Robert for finishing third.
Yeah.
And a big shout out to all the fantasy league owners in our league.
Yep.
Job well done.
Yep. Yep. So and look at Bijan Mustard. He had a rough year, but he stayed on to the end in the consolation bracket. Did lose. He lost to King Henry, which a lot of people who faced King Henry in the championship week condolences because King Henry did take people to the promised land in week 17. So hey, so with that said, we're going to give out a couple of awards for the year. And LT, I'll just throw this one to you first. Give us, in your opinion, your MVP, not necessarily on your team, but who you thought was the fantasy MVP this year.
Fantasy MVP to me goes right back to one of my favorite players, and I should have outbid everybody else for him. My MVP is Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, has to be. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. With
For the whole year, for the whole season, if you drafted him in your league, you were pretty much in the playoffs.
oh yeah, yeah. He locked up people, and he didn't disappoint in the playoffs. He performed in the playoffs, and it seems like it was yesterday though. I remember the Friday injury report before week one. He had a health scare. He was questionable for week one, even though he was healthy all preseason, but did not miss a game. And we all said, yeah, Chris McCaffrey took you to the promised land just 2 years ago, LT.
Yep.
And you even traded for him last year, because you thought he was going to play. So we always said Christian McCaffrey, if he's healthy, he is the best running back in fantasy. So and it proved it this year that he stayed healthy and unfortunately he didn't get Robert a championship, but he got Robert pretty darn close to a championship. So what about you, 411? I'm throwing one. Do you have an MVP other than Christian McCaffrey?
I mean, it's hard to go other than Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? Because he was, like I said, he was super consistent. And one more thing about McCaffrey, he had the injury scare that I think allowed fantasy owners this year to get their hands on him. And they probably were like, man, I don't quite want him, but man, I bet you're so happy that you did, right?
Yep.
So, I would, and if I'm going to give it to another player, I'm going to mention the name, and he's a wide receiver for the Rams, Puka Nacua.
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I mean, he was a monster this year, and I mean, his talent level, man, it's just up there, man, with his power, strength, speed, ability to make catches, run routes, and then have a quarterback like Stafford that's going to feed you. I
Yeah.
mean, that's one that I would have up there too, sitting at the podium.
Absolutely. And you really can't fault it. And he was falling to the second round of drafts right up because everybody was worried about the Stafford back injury. Everybody was worried about Nakua's injury history. But when he's healthy and he's on the field, he's like the McCaffrey of wide receivers. He
Yeah.
produces when he's out there. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper because those are both of them are great guys. And a lot of and Christian McCaffrey is actually the consensus for Yahoo and CBS. They have nominated Christian McCaffrey on their sites as the MVP because of some of the points we just. But I'm going to go a little bit deeper. But I'm going to go based on draft position. I want to say, and this is a guy that plays for 411's favorite team, the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to go with JSN. And the reason I say that is you could have got him in the third and fourth round, and you had a top 3 receiver. Okay. Everybody, what kind of depressed his value was a lot of people thought he was strictly a slot receiver. Well, Mike McDonald, and I got to give him credit, the head coach, he said, we can play him outside. And guess what? He played outside and he won outside. He had one of the top 5 all-time A dots for receiving yards in the history of fantasy football. That is when they're targeted down the field. So he was catching deep, he was catching it early, and often the one thing that holds them back really though is their quarterback. Yes. Sam Darnold, he just goes through these, and a Seattle fan like 401 can back me up on it. He can go through these lulls, and that is what can sometimes hold JSN down. But like early on in the year, he was getting 60% of reads on targets, and he was running 90% of pass plays. So his sheer volume of that is what kind of propped him up. But the thing is, to Darnold's credit, he's not a guy that likes to go through progression. So when JSN is usually his first read, he's usually always open, so he gets the ball. So yes, I love Nacua, number one receiver. He'll probably be possibly the number one receiver off the board next year. McCaffrey might be the number one overall player off the board next year. But for my money, the reason I'm going JSN, first of all, he's going in your first round next year. But second of all, this past year, you could have got him in the fourth round. So that's why if you had JSN, you was not disappointed. So we talked about the good. Now we got to go with the bad. So LT, right back to you. I know you're raising your hand. He's
Me too.
All right, LT, give me your fantasy disappointment.
Well, I've got a bunch of disappointments. First of all, in the beginning of the season, I went with position scarcity. So I went with the tight end. And, Brock Bowers was okay at times. Sometimes he just wasn't there.
Yeah.
They had three wide receivers, and Brock Bowers just didn't show up some games.
Now, so I'm going to throw this to you. Do you think that's a Brock Bowers issue, or is that a Geno Smith issue?
I think that was just the team and the makeup and the way they played this year.
Okay.
Now I've got a couple more. I'll throw some quick ones out.
Lay them out.
You might take some 411s, but go ahead.
Well, as you know, we all play multiple leagues, and I had him in a couple of other leagues. To me, one of the biggest busts compared to where you drafted him this year was Justin Jefferson.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And another one I had on one of my leagues was Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Especially with the injury,
You have to.
and then when he came back from an injury, he was still single digits. Even when he was playing. So yeah,
Yep.
those yeah. And Lamar Jackson, a lot of times the consensus number one quarterback off the board. And you always heard people, he had this high floor, so that's why he was a safe pick, and he sunk a lot of fantasy rosters this year. So very, very good pick, LT. 411, did he take any of yours?
No, but he named some great ones there.
Yep.
You can just look at my roster and you can say, man, why 4-1 is going to be so hard on this roster? But expectation, right? So Saquon Barkley, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have to go with that because with Barkley, not because of the moments that he had excellent games, but for all those moments that he didn't.
Yep.
And, we could say it's the line, we could say it's this and that, but I mean, Saquon Barkley played for the New York Giants and put up numbers too at one point. So
Yeah.
I would have thought being on the Eagles team, even on a bad day, would be a B level's great day. And that's what I was anticipating. So I'm basing it off of expectation there with Barkley because, again, you have to play Barkley every week. If he's healthy, you have to put him in, which leads me to the next one, Ashton Genty. I understand it's the Raiders. But I also understand that he's a young running back. He's strong. He's big. Looks like he has some decent hands too, because he started catching the ball late in the season. But it's just something about that Raiders team that didn't help him be great. And Genty's one of those players that I had to start every week, so I had to take the lumps. Like you talk about these hills and valleys, I had to take those valleys throughout the season just to get those moments where he did explode and make you say, wow, that's why I drafted him. That's why I took Genty. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to add one more, and this is going to be a shocker to everybody. And he has, I mean, I don't know where he ranks his yards from scrimmage, but I think is leading the Falcons in history. But Bijan Robinson. And the reason why I say this, And
Bijan
again,
Robinson.
not
Are you
because
talking about the guy that scored over 40 points in the fantasy championship?
yeah, that guy. Because there was several weeks where the Falcons didn't allow this man to be great. And I want to still stand on that horn where they would play Algier too much for my liking. He he just showed you against the Rams. Bijan showed you against the Rams if you just let Bijan be the man.
Yep. Yep.
Those are the kind of numbers you should get you can get almost every week if you're a Bijan Robinson owner. So this is more so maybe not at him per se, but this is at the Atlanta Falcons organization. Let this man loose. Let Bijan go. Let him be Marshall Faulk. Let him be Barry Sanders. Let him be Walter Payton. Let him be your RB1.
Yep. And he's saying, and you said it perfectly. He against again, and first of all, Rams very good defense. So for him to not only do that, but to do that against a good defense, should show you
Yes.
that just let the man do what you drafted him to do. You know what I'm saying? So hey, so with that, I'm gonna throw a couple out there. And what in the world happened to Brian Thomas Jr.?
Ooh.
This guy was drafted in the first round ahead of people like Puka Nakua, ahead of people
Yes.
like Drake London. I mean, ahead of people. Well, Drake London could be considered a bust later on in the year, but that was mostly injury. But yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, I think this could actually go back to the preseason. I don't know if people watch a lot of preseason, but I do, just so I can prepare for these drafts. If people saw when he was out there, he got lit up in one of his catches. And folks, I don't think he was never the same again. I mean, he started getting the dropsies. You know, I think he was starting to see people. He was hearing footsteps, and then got injured. And then when he came back, Jacoby Myers was the guy. So
Yep.
I don't know what the deal is, and he is going to be very hard for me to predict what's going to happen next year with Brian Thomas Jr. Just because he had such a sensational rookie year. And the thing is, it's not like he's playing for a bad team. Jacksonville could be the number 3 seed in the AFC. So it's
Yeah, the
not.
quarterback played well.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence was phenomenal this year. So yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. I can't say it's not a quarterback issue, not an offensive line issue. I think this is a mental issue for Brian Thomas Jr. And then another one, I'm going to go with a guy that was near second round, early third round, one of LT's guys, Ladd McConkey. You know, LT had a man crush on Ladd McConkey, especially what he did at the end of year one. He was just so good when he was out there. But okay, this is what happened. You got to believe in the player from the mere stand fact that when Justin Herbert, first of all, Justin Herbert, I commend you. You're a warrior to do what you did to take that sorry offensive line and still make the playoffs and that you're still upright is pretty phenomenal. But that Ladd McConkey, Herbert had never had enough time to let Ladd McConkey run his route to get him the ball. Folks, this will be corrected in the offseason. This will be corrected when the offensive line comes back next year, when they have their 2 stud tackles come back and their offensive guard come back. They will be fine. Ladd McConkey will be fine. And folks, I'm telling you on this show, me, 411, LT, we'll take the dip if it runs into our season, because I think Ladd McConkey, you could probably he might be falling to the end of the 4th, early 5th round next year, because a lot of people are going to be looking at the stat. Same with Brian. Now, I don't know if I'm going to. The Brian Thomas Jr. is a whole different story, because again, it is hard to figure out when mental issues get fixed. But then one last thing, I'm going to stay on the receiver. Another one that was drafted fairly high, Nico Collins, another wide receiver, another guy that was drafted ahead of Puka Nakua, that was drafted ahead of JSN, a guy that had high expectations. But again, is this a quarterback issue? CJ Stroud played somewhat well, but I think this is more a play calling with this, because what they did is, if Nico got a pass, it had to be a long pass for a touchdown. If he didn't get those long passes, it's not like he was peppered with targets, because you know what they did? As soon as the Texans got into field goal range, they run the ball 3 straight times and kick a field goal. and play defense. That's just like what
Yep.
they don't want CJ Stroud to lose a game with an interception trying to get fit into tight paces with Nico Stallings. So this is more of a team of a construct of this could linger on until they kind of take the handcuffs off of CJ Stroud and see if he can push the ball down the field. But those are three receivers that went ahead. Again, all two of those receivers that I know of, with Brian Thomas Jr. and Nico Collins, went ahead of Puka Nacua in a lot of drafts. So people that got Puka Nacua could thank people for taking the Nico Collins. And I'm just going to expound on the Justin Jefferson, and I'll throw this to you, LT, since you said Jefferson. Is this strictly a quarterback issue for Justin Jefferson?
I would, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think, and from what I understand, there is actually talks of Minnesota exploring trade options for a quarterback. For, believe it or not, Kyler Murray is listed as a candidate for somebody looking. And guess what? I heard it through the grapevine. I don't understand how this is an upgrade, but they also were talking about Minnesota talking to Geno Smith and the Raiders, because I have a feeling the Raiders will get the number 1 pick, will draft Mendoza, and will not want to pay a Geno Smith. And it's one of these things. Kyler Murray, if he goes there, he might be more of a long-term future for the Vikings. Whereas if they get Geno Smith, I think they're going to keep McCarthy, get Geno as a stopgap until McCarthy gets his head right, and then start McCarthy for the head up. So I think that's where the reasoning was for Geno Smith. But yeah, folks, I'm not scared of Justin Jefferson, even though it was a whole year of missed opportunities, because I think he's not quarterback proof, because we've seen that, but he's somewhat quarterback proof. And what I mean by that is we have seen lesser quarterbacks come in to Minnesota and Justin Jefferson still be a beast. Josh Johnson, when he played for Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson peppered with targets, got plenty of points. Just regular Mullins was in there for a couple. Justin Jefferson, a monster. So these weren't great quarterbacks. They just.
How about Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold. Oh my goodness, yes, him. Yeah, 9 wins or 11 wins with Minnesota with Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold has showed that he can support a number 1 receiver, right? He did it with Justin Jefferson, and of course now he's doing it with. I have with JSN, but I have a guy too that Minnesota should look into, and that is Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers has officially announced his retirement again. So I think
he can add to those Hall of Fame stats if he plays another year with Justin Jefferson, because he could definitely send the ball his way a lot.
Yeah. I don't remember a time where Phillip Rivers because the Phillip Rivers top guy was a tight end for years in Antonio Gates. He never had the receiver a type like Justin Jefferson. That's pretty good. So, hey, with all that said, Mr. LT, I'm going to start with you again. Number 1 overall pick next year. You're on the clock. Who do you pick with the number 1 pick overall?
Ooh, it's going to be good.
McCaffrey.
Okay. I guess okay. So
I'm going to outbid Mr. 411 because I'm bidding $100 on him.
Oh,
I already placed a bet for a bid of 101 already.
Oh my gosh, we got bids going on and we hadn't even started up the auction clock yet. So Mr. 411, is that your number 1 overall pick next year?
I tell you what, I'm gonna throw a name out there, and I just put him on most disappointing, but Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
And it is not just because of that game against the Rams, but I mean, this is why people have been clamoring for him, and he has all the tools. I mean, he has all the tools. I mean, when I say Marshall Faulk, when I mention Barry Sanders, when I mention Marshall Payton, like you guys understand what I'm saying when I mention those type of running backs, and Bijan. Oh, and prime Priest Holmes. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talking to guy Larry Johnson. Like, I mean, we're talking about guys that can get it done in the air and on the ground. And so I'm gonna say Bijan Robinson. And hey, McCaffrey's that guy too. He can handle it in the air and on the ground too. So that's the guy I would put out there I'm gonna place a lot of money down on him as well too.
My number one pick, and I'm going to be different from both of you guys. I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs. And the reason I'm going for Jahmyr Gibbs is the only thing that has held him back in the past was David Montgomery. And I think this was the year that they said, okay, Jahmyr Gibbs is our guy, and we're going to feed him. Yes, he was disappointing later on through the fantasy playoffs a lot, but he is the one guy, in my opinion, that could break the bank and just win you a week by himself. He did it. He basically got Fly Zone Zim into the playoffs on his back. And then we saw what happened when he couldn't perform. Fly Zone Zim, had trouble. Of course, Fly Zone Zim also had Nakua. So he had a deadly combo to help him through the season. But yeah, my guy, I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs because, first of all, I want the running back. Yeah, I think running backs are going back to the school of get your stud running back and fill in the blanks later. And Gibbs does it through the passing game as well. He's one of the few guys we saw when they couldn't score, they tried to get Jahmyr Gibbs going through the air. I think the Lions will be much improved next year. They're going to see what happened and what the faults was. They're going to upgrade the offensive line again, try to invest back into that. I think losing the play caller, Ben Johnson, we saw how crucial he was because just like what he did when he went to Chicago, turned them into a playoff contender. Great play caller. I think they're going to go back, look at what worked with that, institute the more touches to Jahmyr Gibbs, kind of combine the two, and I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a huge year next year. So all three of us going with separate number one picks. So, but hey, that's the good thing about your league, Mr. 411. We can all have different number one picks, and if we want our guy, we just got to spend the money on him, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of money's gonna be flying in August.
Or heck, you could be like 411, just spend all this money on Jahmyr Gibbs, McCaffrey, and Bijan and be done with it, right? so
That would be a great day for me.
yeah. So I can't wait to next year, Mr. 4-1, to see how that McCaffrey bit, because McCaffrey is Robert's favorite player too. So it's going to be a fun. Hey, I'm telling you right now, folks, stay tuned because when you see the draft, because it's going to be a fun one when you see the bid on McCaffrey next year, especially if he's healthy going into the season.
Yeah, we're going live on this upcoming draft in August, so just buckle up for that.
So,
all right. Anything else before you get out of here?
Well, the calculator, it really had some very good picks this year. And I'm going to give you your props on my sleeper of the year. You did pick Jonathan Taylor, which right behind Christian McCaffrey should be number 2 next year. But you also picked Javonte Williams. Now, Javonte Williams would have been my sleeper of the whole fantasy season. He did. Wow. He put up huge points.
Yeah, and that's actually I'll say he's the one that won me a lot of games because I was thin at the running back position. Well, after Ramondre Stevenson kind of fell off, because Ramondre was actually going to be my number 2 guy, and then he fell off. But Javonte Williams, he stepped in, and you're right, he was phenomenal for that Dallas team. He showed that he is, 3 years removed from that ALC injury he had back when he was Denver, and showed that he can. Get a full workload, and I paid $2 for him. That he was definitely a good pickup. A lot of people had full rosters by the time I was picking up Javonte Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yep, bang for your buck.
Yep.
All right. Well, is that everything, calculator?
That's all for me, man. Like I said, I just enjoyed the year. I was glad. It's always happier. There were a couple times Mr. 4-1 had to get me on the line because after you had a bad week, like having number 2 in points, but you played the number 1 guy in points, it's hard to come on the air with a smile and the energy. But thanks to LT because he kept me going. He said, calculator, remember you're 0-5 and you won the Super Bowl that year? I said, "Yep, you're right." I kept looking at my points. It's like, man, I have the top points. How can I have a record like this? So, but that, and then LT, that's what LT kept saying. Just keep piling up the points. It'll all work out in the end. And fortunately, this year it did work out. It was a good year, and I enjoyed myself. And hey, I just I look forward to being back next year.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else, LT, before we go?
Nope.
All
I
right.
think I'm good. It was definitely a fun year, and can't wait till next year.
Yep.
There
Yep.
you
Where
go.
are the wait has already begun. The waiting is now commencing.
Hey, the bid has already begun. All right,
Yeah, I
so
mean they
let's
were
get it.
doing blind bids on this show. Like, whoa.
Yeah, I hope they're watching because I hope the other owners are watching this episode because they already know what amount
Hey,
you got to put in there.
that's right. Like, subscribe, and notify, especially if you're in the league, because you get the information to
And
prepare.
share, and
Yep.
share. Why, LT?
Because sharing is caring.
Yes, sir.
There it
That's
is.
right. That's
All right,
right.
and I'd like to say once again, thank everybody, everybody who's tuned in for our shows and watched them, and I appreciate LT and the calculator for holding down the fort for the 2025 fantasy football season on the 401 Sports World Fantasy Football Show. I'd like to thank you guys for the things that you all have done, the knowledge you have dropped for everyone, and look, it's helped us all. Like
Yep.
I wouldn't have made it as far as I did without the advice and things from you guys. And look, it just shows that you can still be a competitive fantasy owner and you can still share information. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? And,
Yep.
and help others. So you guys are living proof of that you can do both.
Yep. So,
All right, close us out.
hey, and I just want to
Calculator.
I want to wish everybody a happy New Year as well. We're going into the new year, and a new year. Make whatever resolutions out there. Hope you can keep to them. And my resolution is to try and win more fantasy leagues next year. So,
There it is.
yep.
All right. Happy holidays, everybody. Happy New Year. We'll catch you next year
Yes,
on
sir.
Fantasy
Next.
Football Show.
See ya.